Part 2, we'll do the handshake all over again.
Part 2.
Just put your tour support. Lawrence Jones has just gone on. We had to do that, and we're back in the interview right now. Yeah, we were talking about Behind the Iron Curtain, which was back in the mid '80s. That was such a mind-blowing album because there were no, apart from Johnny Winter, I'm talking about in here, I'm not talking about the States. It was recorded in the Eastern Bloc, of course.
In Zagreb, Hungary.
Wow, was that the first time you all went over there?
That was an amazing story. I don't know if John's ever told the story, but that album, John had a little yellow ghetto blaster, 2 round speakers, and he stuck that on the board and took a 100-minute cassette and stuck it in it. And that's that album.
Is it really? And did it originally come out on a label over there, or?
I forgot how long. He ended up getting a record deal with it, which was amazing because it just captured a moment. You know, we were on fire and it was working. And
it sounded like that.
Yeah.
I mean, so many live albums at the time were doctored, but that was really.
Oh, he was amazing that night. It was an amazing time, and I think there's a video of that too. John must have it.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, that was a great, amazing time.
So, having been in John Mayall's band and having established yourself years later, I mean, did he teach you the rudiments of being a band leader, or was that something that you suddenly realised years later?
Oh, you sponge that. You definitely get that because you watch. And the one thing about John is like I learned from just watching him and listening, and he would, John never minced words about anything. So, but I think the first thing he says, musicians, when there's no work, they complain. When there's a lot of work, they complain. And John would say, "Hey, John, God, it's just 7 days in a row here. We should get a day or 2 off." He goes, "I didn't bring you out here."
No, he has a big work ethic. Right?
Yeah, he has a great work ethic, and he said, "I didn't bring you out here for a vacation. I brought you out here."
Which
to
is
make
exactly
money.
what Walter Trout was saying 30 years later when he had his band. Unbelievable.
Yeah. He says, let's make some money, then you can come back here and vacation all you want.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point.
Yeah, and it was great. And John was always, like I said, by observing him, you'd see that, like I said, water off a duck's back. That's why John Mayall's John Mayall. He doesn't let anything deter him, and I respect that. It's amazing.
There's total belief in the blues.
And belief in himself. Yeah, that's what he gave me. Yeah. Because he would tell me, you need to have faith in yourself.
And how long, having been started in his band, how long before you were getting your own spot and he let you express yourself? How long before that happened?
Well, that didn't really start happening until Walter came in.
Yeah, okay.
But I had a lot to learn, and we had a lot of things to clear up. I mean, John really helped me. That first year in the Blues Breakers, I couldn't handle it very well. I mean, here I am playing like a kid in a sandbox. I could pretend to be Eric Clapton. I can do this. I can do that.
So that was
I'm not anymore. And it's not fun. It's not fun to think that I've got to play "Have You Heard Tonight," and we all know what Eric Clapton did with that song. And it's just so after a while it turned on you. Your head started messing. And John finally took me in the dressing room. I'll never forget it. He just let me know. He said, "Hey, I don't want you. I'm not asking you to be any of the. You're not supposed to be Eric. Eric's not here tonight." He goes, "I want you to be that guy I saw in the club. We're gonna do Have You Heard Tonight? Play the blues. Don't forget the first rule of blues. It's called interpretation. You can play any blues song. You can do Stormy Monday, ad nauseum. But if you do it your own way." That's rule number 1. And
that's become your principal strength as a solo artist, I think.
John gave you that.
Interpretive songs.
Yeah.
Absolutely, interpretive songs. And in fact, I Want It All Back was a very good example of that. And what you did with that Cake Brothers song, I've forgotten the title.
Am I Losing You?
Am I Losing You was a fabulous thing, and you've never been afraid in your own albums of going to covers and making them your own as well.
No, I after a while, especially now. I mean, the last album, I Want It All Back, was Kevin Moe. We sat and talked about it, and Kevin just told me, he said, you're gonna get a lot of flack for this.
You did?
Oh, and to a certain degree, because there's a certain amount of people, or my fans, or people in this side of the blues, that are kind of used to me playing really, really loud, really, really fast.
Yeah.
And
this was all about your voice, really.
Yeah, and that's what Kevin did. Kevin turned it, he says, I'm going to concentrate on songs and your voice. Everybody knows, he says, you got 6 albums that show you can play guitar.
Yeah.
He says, so let's concentrate on songs and structure and the real meat.
And did that give you more of an into the mainstream, as it were? Was that reflected?
Well, I don't think I accomplished that as much as I gave myself satisfaction of playing what I want to play, which has always been the best satisfaction anywhere. I mean, if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I want it to sell. I want things to sell. But I also want to walk out of a studio saying, I just did what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Instead of me trying to, figure out what the people are going to buy. I mean, that's, to me, that's a waste of time.
Well, I think you're right. And it must have been a big wrench then, leaving Mayo.
That wasn't easy. No, it wasn't an easy.
Big decision.
Well, once again, like when I told Albert I was going to get off the road, I'd gone broke. No sight on what would be next. I figured I was going to go back to bartending again and never be seen again. That's what I thought.
How wrong can you be?
Yeah, well, it took that, and then I sobered up, and
Was that around about that time, yeah?
Oh yeah, a lot was going on. Leaving John, Albert Collins had been diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And so a lot was going on in my life, and then I.
And you were a little bit mature at that time.
Well, Walter got sober.
Yeah.
And I was a little jealous of him because I never seen him look so good.
Wow.
And I was still using and stuff. And then Stevie Ray Vaughan took me to an AA meeting backstage.
Wow.
And another good friend of mine, who I met through John, an actor named Michael Ironside. Great guy. These people just, without being preachy or they just kind of nudged me.
Yeah.
Just to say, open your eyes a little bit. Maybe you've done enough. And those are the people that really, and Walter's influence too at that time, to see him, because he was way worse than I was.
Yeah.
And I was terrible. But that's why I love Walter. I love the guy. And
well, he loves you, man. We wouldn't have even known about you, but for him,
Yeah.
Good few years ago, He said you should
He's
check
a great
out
guy, wonderful musician, but a really good person.
Okay, let's quickly talk about your songwriting then, which we've just talked about. But some of the songs you've written with people like Dave Steen, Gary Nicholson, Doug McLeod. I mean, do you have to change? Did you change your own style of songwriting to accommodate them, to work with them?
Not a bit, because I'm not a great songwriter. I don't write. I don't do it very often. I'm very honest about that. I need guys like Dave Steen, Doug McLeod, my dear buddy for many years. Gary Nicholson, another great guy that I've known for a long
Nashville
time.
songwriter.
Yeah, and to bounce things off people is the only way I can accomplish it. That's never been a real strong point for me. I think I've come up with some things I'm proud of that I've written.
But songs that he wrote, like Good Days, Bad Days, everybody knows that through you. Well, they do over here, anyway.
Yeah.
So that kind of, that was the question, really. I mean, you going back to you being an interpretive singer.
Well, there's one of the things of learning how to take a chance and get out of the comfort zone on something, because I mean that was the whole deal behind songs like that. Is even Gaines said, I don't know, you really want to do this? And I said, yeah, it's stuff I hear, and I definitely want to take a shot at it. If I don't do it, then
And getting back to something I mentioned at the beginning of the interview about you having seeking out the emotion in the song. How do you do that night after night? I mean, do you rely on the audience in part to make that connection?
I think they have a lot to do with it. I have enough in my life that I can always draw on.
But
I like that song in particular. It's a song, when Gary wrote it, it's about a breaking of a relationship. And it's amazing how that song has taken on such different meanings for so many people. I have people coming up to me, they lost their father, their child died, a pet even, their wife left, whatever. Yeah. And it means so many different things, but it's usually a love and loss type thing. But that's the unique thing about that song. So I always have all that to draw from.
And when you look to a song, when you look to cover a song, do you just consider it on its own merits, or do you sometimes think this would fit really well in a particular album or particular?
If I like it, I like it. You know, that's all there is to it. I never put any. Oh, this would fit in this album. This would be something.
Okay.
I can't. No, it's if it's. You know, well, for instance, we wrote "You Think I'd Know Better." Me and
Yeah.
Doug McLeod.
Yeah.
We wrote that. We got done with that. We sent it to the record company, and they said, "Well, yeah, we'll shop it for you, but you can't do this song." And I remember that, and I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Because it's a country song."
Yeah.
And me and Doug went, "It is." Well, at that point, it's like a song is a song is a song. Is it a good song?
Yeah.
And we loved it, so I ended up, you know, fighting with them on it. And
But
oddly
you
enough,
went
they made it the title cut
Well,
of
there
the
you
album,
go. There you go.
and it worked out great. And I got Leroy Parnell to come play with that.
Unbelievable.
That was incredible to call him up
Yeah.
cold. I didn't know him.
And it works so well. Do you look for universal themes in songs? Like, you know, things that everybody can relate to?
Not necessarily. I
just comes out
just whatever
something too.
feels. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, Pete. It's kind of like the whole thing of my whole career, my whole playing. It's all about what I feel, what feels good.
Yeah.
They say, well, that's a jazz song. You don't play jazz. I go, I don't care. I like that song.
Yeah.
Well, that's a country song.
Yeah.
I don't care. I like that song. You know,
But
I never put that in categories. I don't. A good song to me is a good song to me. It may not be good to everybody else.
But that brings me back to the label thing I was talking about earlier on. So right now, you have the confidence in the label, that they have the confidence in you, that you could strike out in any of those directions.
Well, to know my audience, yeah.
And it comes together so well on Songs from the Road. You know, I mean, there's a real kind of ebb and flow on that album.
That's what I try to accomplish. I want
and the lows.
I want a show to be. Yeah, I want to take that rock edge, which I've done, and I want to take that total blues edge. I want to take that funk edge. I want to do that. Then I want to do something just as syrupy as can be, you know.
And you know, I also wanted to mention the kind of contrast between your soulful voice and what I call your stinging guitar playing.
Well, I don't know if the voice was going to happen tonight, but I'll try.
Well, you know, you just have to stretch out a bit if it doesn't. But, but I mean, does that have a bearing on the material that you look to and that you interpret? Do you think this would fit? In some instance, this would fit my guitar playing. This might fit my.
I think it's a matter of sitting down by myself. If I can strum it and sing to it, and comfortably,
Yeah.
then it's for me.
Yeah.
If I have to work too hard to try and make it happen, I probably, you know, a lot of times I bail on things like that. But I mean, then having said that, there may be something that I really want to accomplish and do a song that you know, like the one that really loves you, the Mary Wells song.
That was a good choice.
I've always loved Mary Wells. I've always loved
And nobody
that
would
too.
have thought of doing that. You see?
No.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Kevin would say, "Yeah, you can do that." But I said, "God, but we have to take it somewhere else." And I go, "Okay, I'm ready. Where's the cold water? I'm ready to jump in." You know.
So a couple more questions before we wrap it up. So you kind of, it's very important to you to have a good working relationship with your producer. In that case, Kev Moe.
Absolutely.
Before that, the guys from Little Feet. You
Oh,
worked with
yeah,
them.
Paul Barrere.
Paul Barrere. I mean, you're well in with them.
They're my dear friends.
Yeah.
Paul, Kenny, Richie Hayward was the first guy I met in probably 79, 78. He's no longer with us. He was probably one of the greatest drummers that I've ever played with. But all those guys in that band, Billy Payne and all, they're just the sweetest, dearest friends. And for them to play on that album with me, it was just, Paul did a great job.
Yeah.
A really wonderful job.
And took it to different areas that you could.
Yeah, absolutely. He took me he tested me, which is great. That's what you want, something that's going to test you.
And on that, I wouldn't say test, but on that kind of point, I was going to ask you just briefly. You also did I think you did a tour with the Blues Caravan, much like.
I sure did, yeah.
So that you were in a different role then, with two other front people, two other singers.
Exactly.
How was that? That's a completely different thing from what you've been doing for the last 15 odd years or more.
Yeah, I mean that was a situation where you had to do some thinking to make sure that you're supportive, and met some great people there. Mina.
Yeah.
Incredible. She's great. We just did some shows on this tour together. I absolutely adore her. She's a wonderful singer, and we had some fun. We had some good fun, and it was just a real good diversion, you know, for a little while, you know.
Yeah.
And in fact, Roger Innes was on the gig too,
Wow.
going playing bass.
Great bass player. Well, the album's called Songs from the Road. It's on Roof Records.
Yes, sir.
You're wrapping up your UK tour. It's been great to have you here. Back in the States, I guess, after that.
Yeah, I'm going home this weekend, and then
We got a plan.
I'll be home for a week and a half. Then I got to go to Finland for one show.
Well, tonight you're in Chislehurst. It's been Pete Feenstra talking to Coco Montoya. It's been an absolute blast. Jeff on the camera, Mark Hughes from
Thank you,
APH
guys.
on the camera. Thank you and good night.